the press conference to Chief Mark Hanna, who's the Chief of Special Crimes for our office, who coordinates these type of operations. Mark?
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning. I am Mark Hanna. I'm Chief of the Special Crimes Division, which is responsible for the handling and investigation of gang-related offenses. I want to echo Mr. Middleton's appreciation to law enforcement agencies that made this possible. The number of individuals and organizations that are involved is intense and immense, and it takes a lot of coordination, and it's no small effort to get this done. I also want to echo what Mr. Middleton said, is that we are going to have a zero tolerance on gang activity. My division is responsible for prosecuting these cases. We identified the gang members, and whether it was actually a gang-related offense or not, we still are aware of their membership and will handle the cases accordingly. The 93 separate arrests just in this one operation is a significant number. More than 11 different gangs were identified, and we arrested individuals associated with those 11 gangs. And so I want to thank the agencies for their effort and their hard work in getting this done, and want to let those agencies know that just because the arrests have been made doesn't mean that our efforts are over, because we'll still handle these cases appropriately in the courtroom and hold them responsible for their criminal actions. I will now turn this over to Assistant Chief Wong with the Sheriff's Office.
Good morning. On behalf of Sheriff Fagan and Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, we are pleased to participate in this operations with the DA's office and all the local law enforcement agencies here in Fort Bend to curtail crime here, especially organized crime and the gang members. We believe Operation MARGO was successful. It helped us get intelligence on gang members here. It helped us arrest criminals that were wanted for crime, and it also we arrested individuals that were committing crime. So we're here, and we're pleased that the operation was successful, and we're here, and we will continue to work with the DA's office and the other law enforcement agencies here in Fort Bend to make sure Fort Bend is a safe community to live in.
Thank you, Chief. Jimmy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jimmy Evans, Chief Deputy with Fort Bend County Precinct 3 in the Bill Shikes office. I'd like to thank the DA's office for allowing us to have the opportunity to be a part of this initiative. Even though sometimes we're small in resources, but we're committed to providing any resources in order to make this county a lot safer. So in the future, just give us a call and we'll be there. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll entertain any questions anyone may have.
You said that was 7 weeks long?
Yes.
And what will continue throughout the year? Like this, you guys made a lot of success in Operation MARGO. Does it continue at all? Do you have any plans?
Oh, absolutely. You know, what I always say is criminals should assume there's an operation going on every day, and that's not a stretch of the truth. So, yeah, we will continue to do these type of operations. We will continue to document gang members and pursue them in a coordinated effort through prosecution, targeting, making sure they're held responsible as organized criminal enterprises. And so this is just a part of a continuous effort to keep our community safe.
You had a message to criminals. Basically, we're going to catch you.
Oh, yeah.
What is your message to your residents? What should they be on the lookout for? Who should they call?
Okay. To our community members, we understand, we know your concerns. Right now, every time you turn on the TV, you see another violent crime. That is not falling on deaf ears. We are active, we're being proactive, and we're doing everything we can to keep our community safe. We will seek to hold every criminal accountable. While you sleep, we're working tirelessly to make sure our community is safe. We live in these communities as well, and so we take pride in what we do because we want our community to be as safe as possible, and that means pursuing these criminals and making sure as a prosecution unit that we hold them accountable and lock them up and put them where they cannot harm anyone else.
How many of these have resulted in indictments so far? Have I seen those in the indictments?
Mark, you want to handle the question?
I don't have those numbers with me right now, so I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer that. I'm sorry?
Have they reached the stage?
No, they have not. No,
So
no.
these are just recent arrests?
Correct.
Can you tell us where about in county that happened?
It happened throughout geographically, the entire county.
County?
We had Fresno, I'm sorry? The entire county, yeah, Fresno, Stafford, Missouri City, Richmond, Rosenberg, wherever the agencies felt there was a need is where we addressed the issue.
Is there, can you provide maybe for some people, besides the obvious of like graffiti, that might be a sign of a gang, what other identifying things could there be that we could provide neighbors to maybe look out for, that may be signs that there may be gang activity in their neighborhood and such?
Yeah, I'm going to turn that over to Damaris Ars, who is our gang investigator with the DA's office, and she'll be able to give you some insight on what kinds of things to look for.
Good morning. So I would say one of the things you could look for, obviously, like you said, it's graffiti, but also, you know, a lot of our gangs tend to, unfortunately, sometimes they start in the schools. So if you see, you know, a group of individuals wearing the same color, or if they have a bandana, or, you know, huddling around a store, a particular corner store or gas station, you know, those are things you can look out for. And if you see it frequently, you know, that's something you can call and report.
I think we think of this type of crime in Houston, not in Fulton County. I'm a resident of Fulton County myself, but I think the message is, even in Fort Bend County, where we think that this thing doesn't happen, it does.
Yes.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
And how prevalent is it compared to maybe some of these other metro areas?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, without any statistics in front of us right now, I can't really answer that question. I can tell you that Fort Bend County is a safe place to live because of these kinds of operations. I'm not going to tell you that there isn't any kind of gang activity going on in Fort Bend County, but with these operations, we're trying to curtail it as much as we can.
Are we talking about MS-13 kind of gangs or just little neighborhood gangs?
There weren't any MS-13 arrests made as a result of this operation.
But are they those kind of gangs, the big ones that we know of, that we hear about? Are they just small little kids running around,
No, they're
tagging stuff?
they vary. There are some that are that nature of an organization, but there's also the more serious gangs that you find in every community.
What specifically, I guess I'm trying to understand what was different about this operation versus what you do on the daily?
I'm going to turn that over to law enforcement with Ms. Ars. It's just a more coordinated effort. It works into the evening hours. Everybody's focus is to be in a particular area at a particular time so that they can draw from each other's resources. The jails put on notice. There are people there to transport inmates that are arrested or people that are arrested. It's just a much more coordinated effort with this goal in mind to identify people that are participating in gang activity.
And how were they arrested? I mean, it could have been someone pulled over, right, and then you investigated at that time, but how else?
Yeah, it happens all those ways. Some people will make contact with somebody that may have a warrant out for their arrest, and so they could be placed under arrest. With the increased law enforcement in a particular area, there's more offenses that are observed, what's called an on view, and so there may be some arrests that occur as a result of law enforcement being there when the crime's committed.
Mention something. What we noticed in prosecution is that when these crimes come in, these offense reports come in, we see indications that the offenders were associated with gangs. What you see differently now is us making an attempt to identify gang members in our community. And once we do so, then we can then begin to hold the entire organization accountable. So that's what this effort is targeted at, is that not just holding each gang member accountable, but taking them, because it's a conspiracy, it's a criminal conspiracy, and holding them accountable for their group action. And so when we can hold, excuse me, the whole organization accountable, we can eradicate the problem. If we can take the whole gang off the street, then we have eliminated a major crime organization in our community. That's the difference. That's what this operation is all about. And in terms of gang members, yeah. I mean, whatever gangs you have in Houston, you're going to have in Fort Bend because we share a boundary with them. So while statistics will show that Fort Bend County is a safer place to live than some of our surrounding counties. It's not crime-free. But what you see is our effort to make sure that we don't reach those levels. And so I'll let Investigator R.C. Comment on the techniques. And one thing I wanted to say is that I was driving home one night and I saw the operation in effect. And one of the things that you might notice if you're a Fort Bend resident and you see these HPD cars in Fort Bend County pulling people over, that was the operation in effect, okay? So sometimes when you see these different agencies working together, that's part of an operation, and that will be one indication to our residents that we're out there being proactive. Ms. R.C., you want to comment about the techniques that...
So when we put this operation together, the goal was to act as a force multiplier. I contacted several law enforcement agencies around Fort Bend County and outside of Fort Bend County, and to see if everybody would get on board, because every individual agency may have a talent that the other does not. And so as we work together as a team, we had undercover units, we had marked units, we're all working together and communicating with each other, to make the streets of Fort Bend safer.
Question for you, because you mentioned earlier about people starting in schools. So what should parents look out for to prevent this kind of activity in their child being a part of this activity? And then also, is there a certain school district, is it all the school districts? Just, if we put it out there, I'm sure parents will be wondering.
Usually you see a change in behavior in children. It's a drastic change in behavior. But as far as the school district is concerned, I couldn't comment on that one.
Is it clothes they're wearing too? Or like, is it just behavior? Like what? I'm just trying to get specific advice for parents.
Yeah, if they see, you'll see a change in clothing, a change in behavior. Their group of friends will change. If they're starting to, the grades are dropping or, they're missing classes, these are things that parents should look out for.
I would add is a lot of times these gang members will have hand signals that they use. They'll also have very distinct clothing. So if you see your child starting to do these odd things, one of the cues that you normally see is them starting to act up, disruptive, bad behavior. But if you see that, the other thing you want to look at closely is their social media. See what they're doing on their social media pages. Then you'll see the hand signs. You'll see the people that they're associated with, and you may see the hand signs on their friends' pages. So just dig into their personal lives, into their cell phones, into their social media, and look for these signs that they may be associated with some gang activity. And what parents should know is that peer pressure is very effective. And you will have a good, well-behaved child who's, as a result of peer pressure, duped into joining these gangs and doing things they may not otherwise do or may not have the strength to do. Sometimes they join gangs for protection. So we, as parents, have to be especially cognizant of these risks and paying attention to our youth and making sure that we're protecting them. And so if you have concerns about your child and their activities, let us know. We're here to help as well. So we have a number of different programs that we can refer you to try to get them on the right track. But if you have concerns that your child may be involved in gang activity, let us know. I mean, we want to save these kids. It's not all about locking them up. If we can save a child, we'd rather do that. So if you just have questions and you want to know whether or not this may be gang activity, call any one of these agencies. Call my office, and we will assist you and give you information and help you make that determination in order to keep your child safe.
Prosecutor, real quick, what was the impetus for Operation MARGO? Was it like you just started noticing an increase in graffiti or?
No, a couple of years ago, I went before Commissioner's Court to get a position to hire Ms. R.C., Investigator R.C., because I had noticed an uptick in gang activity in Fort Bend County. Like I indicated earlier, we're connecting the dots with our cases, and we're seeing the gang activity. Before that time, there had not been very much activity in terms of identifying gangs. That's changed. But that's the result of is responding to what we're seeing in our criminal cases.
You said there were no arrests involving MS-13. Can you tell us what other gangs were involved?
I don't know if that may be law enforcement sensitive, but if you want to know whether MS-13 is active in Fort Bend, yes, they are. I can tell you that. So I don't think there's a gang not represented in Fort Bend County. So.
Say that again? Maybe I misheard you. MS-13's in Fort Bend County?
Oh, yeah. We have intelligence that suggests that they are active in Fort Bend County. Not for long, though, Scotty. All right, that concludes the press conference. Oh, you have a question?
Spanish?
Yeah, we got, Damaris is going to do Spanish. Yeah, so she's going to do the Spanish version of it, so. Yeah.
All right. Ready? Whenever.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect.
Your name, spelling, and then
Okay.
say it as well.
Ok, mi nombre es Damaris Arce. Damaris es Damaris. El apellido es Arce, Arce. Soy la investigadora de pandillas aquí de la Fiscalía del Condado de Fort Bend. La Fiscalía del Condado de Fort Bend dirigió una operación de cero tolerancia y antipandillas por 7 semanas con varias agencias durante el mes de enero y febrero del 2022. La operación se llamaba Operación MARGO, que resultó en 93 arrestos, 28 de cuales eran fugitivos y 11 pandilleros. La operación específicamente seleccionó 8 áreas locales por el condado de Fort Bend, incluyendo Fresno, Stafford, Katy, Missouri City, Rosenberg, Richmond y Houston. Durante la operación, oficiales de diferentes agencias trabajaron juntos como un multiplicador de fuerza para reducir pandillas y actividades criminales alrededor del condado. La meta era para localizar actividades de crimen al nivel de la calle, identificar pandilleros y desarrollar datos de inteligencia criminal. El esfuerzo para reducir crímenes en el condado de Fort Bend resultó en la ejecución de 44 órdenes de arresto, el embargo de 23 libras de drogas ilegales, 16 armas de fuego y más de $8,000 en supuestos ingresos ilegales. El fiscal Brian Middleton quiere extender las gracias a las agencias que colaboró en esta operación con la Fiscalía del Condado de Fort Bend.
In Spanish, can you also give his message to the criminals out there?
No. De parte del fiscal Brian Middleton para los que están cometiendo crímenes, él dice que nosotros vamos a venir por ustedes.
Oficial Arce, mencionó 11 pandilleros arrestados en este operativo.
Sí.
¿Qué pandillas involucradas estuvieron?
Por cuestiones de la corte no podemos mencionar eso todavía.
Pero sí mencionaron a MS-13, lo escuché hace un momento.
Sí, pero MS-13 ningún fue arrestado en esta operación.
Okay. ¿Cómo supieron de esta actividad ilegal? ¿Dónde provino la información? ¿Se puede decir cómo comenzó la investigación? ¿Dónde tuvieron algún tipo de datos que dijeron que valía la pena hacer esta operación?
Hablamos con las diferentes agencias alrededor del condado y pues hablando con ellos nos informaron cuáles áreas tenían más actividad criminal. So ahí nos enfocamos.
Los rangos de edad, estamos hablando jóvenes, son personas bastante mayores.
Un poquito de todo. Un poquito de todo.
Estaban hablando también que muchos de estos jóvenes que se involucran en actividades ilegales comienzan con ciertas señales desde la escuela.
Sí.
Cuéntame un poco cómo podemos identificarlo, cómo comienza todo esto.
Pues los papás pueden notar que, un cambio en cómo se comportan sus hijos, un cambio de ropa, si empiezan a sacar malas calificaciones en la escuela, todos esos también a subirse a las redes sociales de sus niños, a ver con quién se están juntando.
¿Más operativos como este se pueden esperar?
Sí,
Todavía hay más trabajo.
sí, pues sí, el trabajo nunca se acaba.
¿Cómo la comunidad puede colaborar con ustedes para identificar?
Pues nos pueden llamar aquí o puede llamar a cualquier agencia en Fort Bend. Si ellos ven algo que sospechan que es actividad, criminal, nos pueden avisar y nosotros vamos a mandar a alguien que investigue.
Can you tell the parents to look at, I forgot to mention tattoos. Tell them to look at their children's tattoos.
Okay. El fiscal Brian, también quieren que se fijen en los tatuajes también. Los tatuajes dicen bastante de los pandilleros.
¿Cómo identifico un tatuaje que sea realmente algo que me pueda decir que es un pandillero?
No, pues eso varía. Todos tienen su estilo, pero si tienen más de uno, hay muchos señales. Si tienen tatuajes y luego el cambio de ropa, un poquito, pero sí.
¿Qué debo hacer si veo una señal como esa? ¿Se lo comunico a ustedes?
Puede comunicar con nuestra oficina o con cualquier de las agencias de Fort Bend. Anything else?
Hey, one thing I had her add in terms of, for parents, Nick, in terms of looking for signs is tattoos. Okay, yeah. Gangs typically, they'll tat themselves. They'll put the set on their arms or somewhere on their body. So if your children have tattoos, pay attention to them. Some of the ones that I think about are Tango Blast. It looks like an Astro sign or whatever. I mean, you need to know what they're putting on their bodies and look it up. And we in law enforcement can help you identify what these gang tags look like. So, thank you. All right, that concludes the interview. Yeah. They wouldn't advertise, right?